Hey kids, today we are going to talk about a problem that I think is a huge issue in education, and you guys are going to be investigating this problem for us. Teachers are getting, in a lot of people's opinion, the workaround because they're trying to tie our salaries to student test scores. So I would basically get paid based on how well my students perform on the standardized test. And if they perform well, then I would get a higher pay than if they scored poorly. So this has been a huge debate recently about what we should do about this matter, if it's right, if it's wrong. You may have your own opinion about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this lesson. Hopefully you have the handout there with you. I'm going to go through this lesson with you, and we're going to discuss whether this is the right thing to do or not. Be prepared to pause the video as we go through, because I might ask you to pause and write down an opinion or write down what you think is true based on the question asked. And so if you have to pause the video, then do so and then start it right back up, and I'll be there working right along with you. All right, so and also make sure you get this all completely done, because by the end of this activity you will be turning this assignment in. All right, well, let's get started here. As you can see, this is Act 1. Watch your step. What should teacher salaries be based on? So it says here, get your learn on. How much a teacher earns each year is often based on the teacher's education level and the number of years he or she has taught. The graph below shows the salary schedule for a major school district in the United States. For each level of education, roughly how much more does a teacher earn for an additional year of teaching? If you look at this, and this is honestly the way Ozark does it, if you have a bachelor's degree, you have a column on a scale, and this is the number of years of experience that you have, and obviously the more years of experience you have, the more money you make. If you have a master's degree, you can see that you would make a little bit more than somebody with a bachelor's, or a specialist degree, and of course the doctorate would make the most. So they've graphed those 4 columns on this graph right over here. You can see 0 years of service. The green line starts in at about 44,000. That's this number right here. The purple line is the master's, and it starts in at about 48,000. You can see that on the screen. So anyway, let's go through and answer some of the questions based on this chart and the graph. Number 2 says, some people believe it's better for teachers to teach for a few years before getting a master's degree. If you were planning to become a teacher, which would you prefer? Teach first or get a master's degree first? Explain your thinking. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to answer question number 2. All right, time for question number 3. Imagine a school with 2 math teachers. One has taught for 3 years and has a bachelor's degree. A bachelor's degree is the one where you graduate college, you go to 4 years of college, you have a bachelor's degree. While the other is brand new and has a master's degree. So a master's degree is 2 more years beyond a bachelor's degree. I currently hold a bachelor's degree, which is 4 years. I went to Missouri Southern, and then I went also back and got my master's degree, which is another 2 years from Missouri State University. So that's basically 6 years is what it took me to get my master's. How much will each teacher earn, and what do you think are some of the possible advantages and disadvantages of paying teachers based on experience and education level? Well, the first one we can talk about together. Right here it says one has taught 3 years and has a bachelor's degree. So let's go up to the chart. 3 years, so that's going to be right in here, and has a bachelor's degree. So there's not a 3 here, so that's kind of a problem. We're going to have to kind of figure out what this person is making. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the numbers here, and I want you to look to see how those numbers increase for the first 3 years. It's a pattern, and so you're going to have to kind of check it out based on the pattern. So when you see, let's see if I can get my pencil to work. Oh, my pencil doesn't want to work. We'll try one more time. Whoops, that's not what you wanted to see. Time out. There we go. All right, so we're going to have to look at the screen, and you're going to have to see what's going up and down this bachelor's degree. So what is the difference here? What's the increase every year? And then maybe you can kind of determine what you think is going to happen here at this 3rd year. So I want you to study this column right here and pause the video and see if you can figure out what happens at step number 3. All right, hopefully you've gotten your answer there for 3 years and a bachelor's degree. Now it's time to do the same thing for a brand new teacher that has a master's. So go back up to the columns. Brand new teacher that has a master's. Well, that should be easy because here it is, 0 years with a master's degree. So you'll need to write that down in the blank below. All right, now, how much will each teacher earn? We've answered that. And what do you think are some possible advantages and disadvantages of paying teachers based on experience and education level? Basically, what I want you to do now is I want you to tell me a little sentence or two of why do you think that's a fair system? All right, do you think that there's advantages or disadvantages to that? Maybe you can make a list of advantages and list those out, and then some disadvantages and list that out. So pause the video and finish number 3 now. All right, we're on Act 2, bonus points. Everybody loves bonus points. So number 4 says, some policymakers, I'm right up here, think that instead of paying teachers based only on education level and years of experience, districts should consider student outcomes also. Here we go, this is where it's at. In one state, a researcher offered bonuses of up to $15,000 to teachers who could significantly raise test scores. Sketch a graph of how much teachers with bachelor's degrees could earn under this plan. Do you think this would encourage teachers to teach better? Why or why not? All right, so a researcher offered bonuses up to $15,000 to teachers who could significantly raise scores. Do you think this is going to encourage teachers? So I want you to pause the video and give your opinion now. All right, now we're ready for number 5. Number 5 says, watch the clip from NBC News. What happened when Atlanta, Georgia public schools offered bonuses for high test scores? And why do you think this happened? Explain. All right, Atlanta Public Schools got in big trouble just recently about offering big bonuses for test scores. So I want you to watch this video. I'm going to play it for you so you don't have to do anything but watch and see what you think.
Good evening. There's no harder lesson than the one taught today to 8 Atlanta educators by an angry judge after they were convicted on charges typically reserved for mobsters. He threw the book at them, teachers, principals among them, handing down lengthy prison sentences for their roles in a massive cheating scandal in which standardized test scores at underperforming schools were inflated. The judge told them the conspiracy harmed thousands of children. Our chief education correspondent, Rahema Ellis, shows us how it all played out.
This thing was pervasive. It's like the sickest thing that's ever happened to this town.
In a tense courtroom, Judge Jerry Baxter imposed harsh sentences on 8 former Atlanta public school educators convicted of racketeering, conspiring to fix standardized test scores to improve results.
There were thousands of children that were harmed in this thing. This is not a victimless crime.
3 disgraced educators, former teachers and administrators, were sentenced to 20 years, serving 7 in prison, the rest on probation. The others, including a principal and elementary school teachers, were sentenced to 5 years, serving 1 to 2 of them behind bars. Emotions ran high.
How can you say that?
As the sentences came down.
You sit down, I'm going to put you in jail. If you yell at me, point at me.
It was painful for everyone, including the judge.
I consider you a wonderful educator, and that's what makes it so sad. You were under so much pressure.
Yesterday, the judge heard from dozens of character witnesses pleading for leniency.
Have mercy on my daughter, please.
I'm giving you some opportunity.
And so Judge Baxter asked both sides to agree on a fair sentence that included admitting guilt. Otherwise, he would determine a punishment.
I've got the fair sentence in my mind, and it involves going to jail.
All rise.
Back in court today, only 2 decided to take the plea, which included home confinement or weekends behind bars. The judge admonished the rest.
All I want from any of these people is just to take some responsibility. But they refuse. They refuse. And
Today's sentencing also included community service and thousands of dollars in fines. While some criticized its severity, others said this cheating scandal shortchanged some of the city's most vulnerable children who are now years behind in their education. Lester?
Quite a scene in that courtroom. Rahema, thanks for...
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
All right, we're back, and hopefully you liked the video. You can see that on YouTube. It's NBCnews.com is who put that on, and that is a YouTube video. You can search for it if you'd like to watch that again. But it's time for us to move on to it's time for you to do number 5. What happened when Atlanta, Georgia Public Schools offered bonuses for high test scores? And why do you think that this happened? So I want you to pause the video now and answer number 5. All right, hopefully you're back now and are ready to do the last question, number 6. Imagine you're the principal of a new charter school and you're trying to decide how to determine teacher salaries. What do you think teacher salaries should be a function of and why? What that means is, do you think it should be determined by, what do you think it should be determined by? Do you think it should be determined by years of experience, education, student test scores, what? So you're going to decide how to pay the teachers, and so I'll let you pause the video and come up with your idea right now. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to today's date on my website, and I'm going to have you click right here on teacher salary schedule. When you open this up, you're going to see Ozark School District's salary schedule. All right, I put that in there for you. And I want you to go through and I want you to look at these columns, and I want you to kind of determine from each of these columns what the pay is. So look at the Bachelor of Science degree, look at the Bachelor of Science plus 8 credit hours. This is kind of towards your master's, plus 16 hours, plus 24 hours. I want you to look at each of these columns and I want you to look for patterns. All right, and tell me what happens in each of these columns. So you may need to just write this on the back of one of your papers, or just get a sheet of paper out and title it Ozark School District salary schedule. And then make a column for Bachelor of Science, BS, that's the BS degree.